So I just had two dreams in 1 week about the mark of the beast, microchipping, just people being forced to take stuff under their skin. And I wanted to share this. I'm actually not even used to getting dreams about like the Antichrist or these kinds of things at all. Mostly things that God shows me is, evangelism, getting people saved. But I want to share this because it's showing me we're really in urgent times, and God is actually speaking to a lot of us like things to come. So I'm just gonna get right into the dream. So the first dream I had last week, it was around 2 o'clock in the morning, and my brother and I were walking along a highway at night, and there was a couple items right alongside the road, just laying there. One of them was it was a really little camera. It was about the size of a nickel, and my little brother picked it up and he put it in his pocket. And I said, "What was that?" He said to me, "Oh, it's the new cameras they have now." And I said, "Wow, you could barely even see it." And he put it in his pocket. And then I looked down and there was a hammer. I picked up a hammer and I walked about 3 more feet, and there was I said, "Oh, a construction helmet." My brother said, "Oh no, that's a welding helmet." So we took these items. They were just laying there like in the side of the highway. So as we're walking down the highway a few hundred feet, and I want to say, about 20 years ago, my brother and we used to put a sign out that said, "Jesus is coming." So in this dream here, there was a bus that was parked at that same location where I had that sign, but the sign wasn't there. It was a long time ago. And they were cattle shooting people into a bus. It was like a Greyhound bus or something. And I thought, wow, they were single file line going into the bus. Everyone was being forced. So, and I didn't want to go in, but I had no choice. They cattle shot me right in and up to the door. And when I got into the bus, it was all full of Christians, all ages, children, men, women, grandparents. And here, the first thing I noticed was there was a guy about 40. He was a nice guy with like an alligator shirt on. And he said, "Why am I here? I didn't do nothing wrong." And his 3 children were also captured and kept on the bus. And this is what he said. He said, "All we did was take a screwdriver that was sitting along the road." I thought, wow. So there was some kind of a setup. So I sat down, and everyone was just going along with it mostly. And I looked at my hand, and here there was everybody had like a 10-inch piece of Constantine or razor wire, like barbed wire, stuck on all 5 of their fingers. And I looked at my hand like, I don't want this here. I ripped it out, and it was bleeding everywhere. So I went up to the front of the bus, and there was the people that were doing this, that were rounding the people. It was like a military police, like UN. It was weird. They were in a uniform I never saw before, like all black or something. And I said to the guy, "My hand's bleeding. My hand's bleeding. Do you have alcohol?" And he looked at me. He said, "You weren't supposed to do this. You weren't supposed to take this out of your hand." But I did. And so he poured the alcohol over my fingers to stop the bleeding. And when I looked more closely, there was no more, it wasn't bleeding anymore. Instead, on the end of my finger, my point finger, there was just 3 incisions. And I was like, wow, just 3 little needle incisions, that's all. And I woke up from the dream. My second dream, because I want to say this, the next day I shared this with my brother. I told him, and then we prayed at about midnight. I went to bed and had a second dream. And in this dream, I was in a factory. There was a table that was maybe about 40 feet long. You ever see when construction people make like those steps that go up real high? They're like 2x12s, and they have like a 90-degree notches on where the steps sit on. They were making those in the factory. And I walked by each step after step after step as I walked, looking at this. Check this out. On the very last step, there was it was a hospital incision gun mounted on the very last wooden step. It was grayish white. It had a black handle on it and a needle that came out. And here, as I looked at it, I saw it go into. It went right here. It went right between the thumb and the point finger in that soft skin. It inserted a capsule into someone's hand, and I woke up. So, I mean, yeah, I'll tell you, God is saying something. God is opening up our eyes. And matter of fact, I'm like, I can't believe the Lord is showing me these things at night, because it's just not where my focus is. But I want to share, what God showed me about these dreams. And if some of you are seeing more, please leave your comment, because there's probably a lot of detail. But notice in the first dream at night, my brother and I were walking along a road, and there was a little camera. I mean, to me, that kind of resembles you're being watched. There's something small going on, or something that's not being seen, and he put in his pocket. The hammer, I believe, resembles like being weighed down or something in the making. And the welding helmet, I believe that's saying, like, if you put a welding helmet on, it's dark. You can't see through it. So it's not seen clearly. Something's happening where you're being blinded or not seen. Nonetheless, we walked into a bus, and notice it was right at that place where my brother and I put the Jesus is coming sign. So that's symbolic, I believe, saying Jesus is coming soon, and these are things that are going to happen. But there was like the UN or something. They were forcing Christians into this bus and making them, get these, obviously like a chip or something that was going to be put into their skin. And like I said, when I walked on the bus, there was a guy there. He's like, "Why are my kids and I here? We didn't do nothing." Everybody was being set up. He's like, "All we did was take a screwdriver." So something was happening where it's almost like some kind of bill coming in the mail saying, "You didn't pay the fine." You're like, "There's no fine for no reason." They're like, "Well, we have to arrest you now." So everyone was being set up by something they didn't do, like you stole. And it was just tools sitting alongside of a highway. And like I said, the guy's like, "Oh, my kids just took a screwdriver." Well, when I sat down, I believe that razor wire, that Constantine, it's a snare. It's a snare coming upon people. And it was on our hands. I ripped it out. And you know what? I couldn't believe how the Christians were just going along with it. They just sat there nice and quiet, being taken on a bus to a facility. I ripped it out, and the guy got mad at me. You notice when he put the alcohol over it, all it was 3 incisions in my point finger. I like to know what that means. To me, it's almost like something's starting where... To me, is it the beginning of them wanting to microchip people? Is it the start of something? I believe there's something more there. If someone would, kind of leave a comment, why do you think there was 3 perfect little incision marks on the end of the finger? Now, the second dream, obviously, is pretty obvious. A factory, something's being manufactured. The steps resemble steps leading up to it, and there was an incision gun, obviously, a hospital gun that inserted a capsule right there between... the thumb and the finger. And like I said, I saw this and I woke up. So it's like, wow, something's in the making. I wanted to share this. These are not my kind of dreams. Like I said, I'm much more into revival, winning people to Christ, getting people saved, seeing missionaries go, but yet God is speaking things. So if anybody wants to add or you see something to the detail list, please comment. God bless. Take care.